simple silhouette project, and as you can see I've already prepared my project here, but if I just quickly run through with you what we did to get that. So I'm going to bring up a new blank sheet and then show you what I did. So first of all, using my keys at the side just here, I clicked on the square, draw rectangle, and then I just did a rough shape. It doesn't matter what it is, just using my mouse. Then you click on that and we go across to our button up here. On this button here, which is the home key. What this does is bring up all the Silhouette Studio different kind of features that you can use on the side, on the right hand side of the screen. So let me just show you that. So we've got all different features, as you can see here, and they're kind of your base ones that you might need. So the one I needed for this was scale. So I click on scale, and as you see then it opens up another kind of part. So it's kind of like a button to opening up another section where you can actually do the work. So on this it gives you specified dimensions, and that is where I'm going to put in my dimensions. So I want it to be 5 inches wide by 10 inches. So that you put in there, and then you just click on the apply button. So then you get an exact dimension, and that will create a 5 by 10 card. So the next thing I want to do is go to my library. So you just click on your library key on the left hand side. And then I've separated my library into different folders. Then I wanted the borders and frames, so I click on that. The library separates itself into 2 halves, so as you click on a folder on the left hand side, it shows you what's in that folder on the right hand side. So I want this border and frame just here, or this border here, so I'm going to double click on that, and then that will put it on my mat. So there it is on the mat. So I'm then going to take that down to here. Okay, so now what I'm going to do is I want to make this exactly 5 inches wide, the same as my card base. So we're going to go into the same section as we went in before to do the card base, which was our scale. What we need to do in order to make sure that the ratio stays correct, i.e. because it is a specific design, we don't want it to get thinner but not alter the height, so it kind of looks all squashy. We want it to stay proportionate, so we need to lock the ratio, which is this key here. So we need to click on that, and then it will automatically adjust the height according to the width, or vice versa, that we put in. So as I put in 5, it automatically goes, well, if it's 5 inches wide, in order to keep the ratio correct, we need to make it 1.68 high. So then we're going to click apply, and it is now the correct width, but clearly not in the correct place. So the next thing we're going to do is click on our home button again, which I showed you already, and then we're going to click on the align button here. Several options. We've got center, align horizontally, and then under that there's several things that you can do to align it horizontally. Align align vertically, and the different things you can do there, spacing, and center to the page. Before we do anything on the aligning, we need to ensure that everything is highlighted, because otherwise if you only highlight one element, it's nothing to align against. So in order to highlight everything, it's very simple. It's using your mouse key, click down on the left hand button, hold it down, and then drag your mouse until it surrounds all elements that you want to be aligning, or using whatever it is that you happen to be doing or wanting to be doing, making sure that it highlights all of those. Now you can see it's put a box around my card base, and it's also got a very faint box around my border, so therefore it's got everything in its it knows I want to work with everything. Okay, so now going back to our align buttons on the right hand side, first of all is align our border centrally to the card base. Now since the card base and the border are the same, that will align them absolutely perfectly each side. So we're aligning horizontally and we're going to click Align Center. Actually, because they are the same size, it actually doesn't matter which one you do, but just to be sure, in case for some reason it's very slightly different, it's always safer to do that. When you click it, you'll see it moves across. So that's the first bit done, and you can see it's all lined up nicely there. The next thing I want to do is align it to the bottom. I want to be sure that as I make my card, that the border is going to be in the right place for when I remove the bottom of the card. So this border becomes the bottom of my wrap, really. This is going to be a wrap. That it is going to be exactly the right size, and this at the moment is my guide to help me position my border in the right place to make sure that it will be the correct size. So the next thing we need to do therefore is bring my border down to this bottom line. So in order to do that, we're going to go back to our Align box, and where it says Align Vertically, we're going to click on Align Bottom, and that, as you see, takes that border down to the bottom of our card base, or I mean, it doesn't know it's the card base, it could be anything that you're doing, but it automatically aligns it, which means there's no kind of zooming in close trying to make sure that it's absolutely perfect. You know it's absolutely on the button. Okay, so the next thing we need to do now, so like I said, it's quite a simple thing, but it's just teaching us a few little bits and pieces about alignment and sizing, etc. So we're sticking to the base. The next thing I want to do is take the base of the card, the actual card base. I need to move the bottom of it far enough up so that when I weld, that this border becomes the bottom of my card. But obviously we don't want this line here, because otherwise it would cut straight across, and that would then just chop the bottom of that border off the card base, and you'd have one short square and a border, so that's not really what we want. So what I'm going to do though is I do want these little dots. I think they're quite pretty. So I'm going to, first of all, I'm going to zoom in. That's easy to find. You can just see the plus and minus zoom in keys at the top. Then we're going to click on the box rather than, and not the border, and then we're going to just drag it straight back up. So watching the red line, not the black line, because the black line is the working line, just to show you, but the red line is the cut line. And we're going to take that red line to just between those little dots and the scallop here. So just between, you can just see that red line just in there. If I click this away, you can see it there. So that's, if you don't want these little dots, then drag your line to just below that, and that'll get rid of them. But I quite like that. I think it gives it a lacy effect. So then what we need to do is we need to again work with all elements on the page. So as we did before, we're going to use our mouse key, we're going to click, and we're going to draw a box around everything. And as you can see, it's put black lines, which is what shows you that it's going to be able to be worked with around both elements. You can see around the border it's a little fainter, but it is there. Next thing we really need to do is now weld this together. So in order to do that, there's some buttons just down here at the bottom. It says Weld Selected Shapes, and that's the one you want to click in order to weld these images together. I'm going to click on that weld, and what you need to have a look at is this red line here and this scallop line. If I've done it correctly, that red line and the scallop should disappear, but leave behind these little dots, and this is the edge of my card. Click weld. Hey, we did it right. So there we have a very simple card base or wrap or whatever you want it to. So what I'm going to do now is I've put a piece of vellum, just plain vellum, on my silhouette mat, and we're going to cut that out on the silhouette, this out on the silhouette, and see how it works with vellum, because I've not tried that either yet. Okay, so let's set this all up ready to go on the silhouette, and we'll see how it cuts. Okay, so we're at the silhouette. I've loaded the mat as I showed you on my previous video. I won't necessarily show you everything every time, because otherwise we'd take too long on each video. And also I changed the cut settings again, as I showed you on the previous video. When you send to silhouette using the buttons at the top, then it comes up at the side and you follow each of the steps, 1, 2, 3, 4, and when you get to 4 it says change settings. So click on the change settings, and then I found the one that said vellum, and it told me that I needed to put my blade at setting number 1. So I took the blade out of its housing and I changed it to setting number 1. Now I'm not sure whether that's going to be thick enough for, or steep enough for this particular vellum. It is a little thicker vellum, and I'm not sure what kind of thickness vellum that the silhouette settings are designed for. So it may be that we have to redo this. All ready to go. So now all I'm going to do is click on my computer the cut page, and it's sending it to the silhouette, and off it goes. And fingers crossed. And of course the next trick will be is taking it off the mat, because it's quite a new mat. It's hard enough taking it off with cardstock off it, because it's sort of quite sticky. I did try and prep the mat by using just like an old sweatshirt and just touching it with the arm of the sweatshirt, trying to take some of the stickiness off where the area was where I was going to do the vellum. So hopefully that would have made a little difference. Okay, so that's finished cutting. So we're now going to press enter to unload the mat, and I don't know if you can just see the cuts there, and also you can just see that it has cut through, so it's obviously a nice setting for cutting vellum. And the other thing you'll notice is the fact that you actually can't see it. You can't see the cuts, which shows me, if you guys who are used to the Cricut, and don't get me wrong, I'm not dissing my Cricut at all, because you guys know I absolutely love my Cricut, and I think there's definitely a place for both. But I think we also all know that the Cricut could not cut vellum like this. To be honest, I struggle to get the Cricut to cut vellum, even just like a simple scallop circle or something. It just snags and pulls it. So to get it to cut something as detailed as this border, and the fact that you can't even see it because there's no snags or anything. Take this off the mat off camera, because I think it'll be a little bit fiddly, just because it's delicate, not for any other reason. So we're going to do that, and then we'll come back to you. And let's put this card together. Okay, well, much to my surprise, this came off exceptionally easy. I think prepping the mat like I did obviously just took that extra stickiness off that it needed, and it literally, I peeled it off from the back and it came off in one. All the little pieces were left behind, no problem at all. I didn't have to use a tool, anything. It literally came off perfectly. It took like 2 seconds. Okay, so that's that piece cut, and as you can see, it's absolutely beautifully cut. So now I'm going to cut a card base to put underneath this. Lovely linen and lace, or lace and linen stack that was given to me as a Christmas present from lovely Mindy, and I thought that I would make use of this as one of my card bases. So I have picked out this beautiful piece of paper from inside the stack, but let me just quickly show you, if I can, how absolutely gorgeous this stack is. You see, it looks so pretty with it. I love the embossing on it. So just a quick flick through. I know this really is quick. Hopefully you can get a rough idea of what it's like. But it is a really, really pretty stack. It was one that I had admired that she had, and she kindly sent that to me as part of my wonderful Christmas present, which you may have seen a photograph of on my Facebook page. So anyway, getting back to that, I need to now cut my piece of card. I was originally going to do my vellum for a 6x6 card, but I thought I'm always doing 6x6 cards, so I decided to do it for a 5x5. So using my Martha Stewart, I'm just going to cut this to 5x10 and fold and score that in half. I use this Martha Stewart punch which is a new one to me, really gorgeous. I don't know what it's called, I'm afraid. So I'm just going to use that down this back piece. Okay, so there's the punch done. Attach that to our card. You see it looks nice on the back as well. And we're going to use some ribbon to do that. If you used vellum or, if you use any sort of glue, it will show through the vellum, unless you were going to stick the whole lot down with something like your Xyron sticker maker type stick stuff, which would go across the whole lot and have there would be no differentiation between where it's stuck and where it's not. But since I don't want it stuck down, I'm going to just use some ribbon. I'm thinking of putting some sort of sentiment on it, and I may therefore put a bit of adhesive just under where the sentiment will be. I'll have a think about that as I get there. I'm using a bit of ribbon. I thought I might just put a tiny bit of adhesive at the top, just at the very spine, just to make sure it stays in place and doesn't wobble too much. So I'm just going to use a bit of my glue runner. And there you can just see where I've done a few little dots, and then we're just going to line up our wrap and stick that in place. So there's our ribbon tied, and we're just going to snip off the excess, and now we just need to put some sort of sentiment on there, I think, just to finish it off. Found this sentiment. It's a hunky-dory one, and Mother's Day is coming up in March, I think, here, so it's quite good for me to start preparing some Mother's Day card, so I thought this would be a really nice sentiment to add. So as I'm going to put that down in the middle, I thought I could add a tiny bit more adhesive just in here underneath, just to make sure that's nice and stuck down and doesn't flap around too much or move. And then I'm just, again, using my glue runner, I'm just going to and then just stick that straight and central. So there's the outside of our card done with the lovely cake. Now, in order to help this bit stop from flapping around, what I thought was that using the spare piece of card that I had and a Martha Stewart circular punch, I'm just going to put a piece of card over there. I'm going to punch out a circle, and then I can pop that on the back of my card, just as a piece of card, and then we're just gonna put a tiny dot of adhesive underneath, and then we can put this on the top in the center like so, and that will just hold that down, and it looks quite cute. So we've got the front and back done, and now something for the inside, I think. So again, I've got a spare piece here that I cut to exactly 5 inches, and I'm going to be using the same punch that I used on my vellum, and I'm just going to punch across just to make something to go on the inside of my card. So we've got a nice border punched, and then we can put that at the bottom of the inside of our card. So we're just again using the glue runner. Like so. Okay, so I found a sentiment that says Happy Mother's Day, and it is from Daily Design Sentiments from ink. And I'm going to use this ink, this Versa Magic which is Pink Petunia, which is a really pretty colour and it goes really well. And the sentiment just says Happy Mother's Day. So we're just going to ink that up. And using my rocker block, we're just going to stamp Happy Mother's Day. Now, don't forget that this Versamagic, because it's a chalk ink, will stay wet a little bit longer than your Memento inks or whatever, so just give it a second before you shut the card. Mint, which looks really cute, and it matches in lovely with the colours of the cardstock as well. Finished card made using the silhouette. Watching this and making this card with me, and I'll see you all again soon. Thanks for watching. Bye.